Well, here we are back in the studio, and I'm very pleased to have Kathy Craig, who's the director of the clinical manager, of hospice, and a friend and longtime resident that was very impressed to know is a colonel, Art Kramer, to be with us this morning. And we're going to be talking about hospice and the importance of it and how it really works. And so, Kathy, would you like to begin the chatting?
Good morning, and thank you for having both of us on. I thought it'd be important and a good message to get out to everybody if I brought one of our family members that have had the experience of a loved one under hospice care. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that a lot of the perception out there is, hospice is I'm immediately dying, and it becomes a very scary four-letter word out in the community. And it's such a support system to patients and their loved ones. And I thought having Colonel Kramer with us to go over his perception of how hospice went for him and his family might help others in the community understand the importance of this service to them. So,
well, I guess my turn. Good morning. Let me start by telling everybody that Ardith was a 50-year survivor of breast cancer. And in that length of time, I want to explain something that scared me at the very beginning and bring it all the way up to present time.
You might tell folks that Ardith was your wife.
Ardith was my wife.
Because not everyone has been here as long
in
as you.
In 1965, she had a radical mastectomy. And she let it be known to everybody from the day that she recovered. When I was informed that she had cancer, she was still in the hospital, and the first thought came to my mind is I have two young girls, and who's going to take care of them and all that kind of stuff. But I guess we can say the good Lord was willing, and she undergone various treatments. One was cobalt, and after she had that period of, what would you say, treatments of cobalt, she was declared free. We moved here, and for many years after that, she was declared free because she survived 5 years without any problem. Mm-hmm. And during that time, there was no types of X-ray or equipment developed that could determine whether you had cancer. Mm-hmm. 40 years later, her hip broke, and we discovered she had cancer again, and that it had been through her entire part of her body. Oh. It had metastasized. But before that time, she had no types of treatment on that. She undergone chemo, and during the chemo treatments, at some point, our doctor informed us that, have you ever thought about hospice? And we said no, because hospice is for dying people. And Ardith felt the same way. She then said, well, do some thought about it. It doesn't mean that you're dying. It just means that there's people out there that can help you to have a better life, an easier type of life. And during that time, we kept thinking, oh, well, hospice is available. The day came when Ardith and I and a family decided, hey, why don't we see about hospice? And that's when we started to investigate. Mm-hmm. My girls went on the internet and checked all the remarks made about hospice that was on the internet, about the various different types of organizations that are doing it. And we also considered Greenspring. Our doctor out there gave us some names of different hospices that the military had cooperation with, and one of them was with Greenspring. So we came here and talked to the people here, and from the time that we spoke to them, we said, this is for us. Now, during that entire time, I could say that we had people that I considered to be experts. They came, and it made no difference who entered the house from hospice. There was always a continuity in the treatment and a continuity of taking care. Our nurses that came in reviewed what pills she was taking, and then contacted our doctor out at Fort Belvoir, and they agreed at what pills were not necessary, so we got rid of those. As the time went on, when we started, we had hospice for, as I remember, 3 days a week for an hour, and it was marvelous because they would come in and bathe her and take care of her and feed and do everything that was important. So during the entire time that we had hospice, I never had a problem. Now, people get scared about the term hospice, but she used it frequently. She was on TV here many times to talk about cancer. So we had an immediate, what did you say, observation, and we had them in the house. So I really advocate at any given time that when a doctor informs you that, hey, you might consider hospice, I think a person should really consider about that and not wait like we did. We waited a long time. And the time that they came in, they did marvelous. It was everything. And quickly we had the bed, we had all types of equipment. Anything that was necessary, I would call down and talk to Kathy or talk to one of them down there, one of the members, tell them what I thought I would like to have, and they'd come up with a solution. So there was never an item that I was waiting for. We had supplies, and I can say that there are many hospices, because I'm familiar with some that some of our family members have experienced, that they don't get the treatment, they don't get the materials, things that you need.
Colonel, throughout the process of having hospice in the home, did you feel that you and Ardith continued to maintain control of her plan of care and her life and how she wanted things done?
At no time did they ever say to me, you have to do this. It was always our decision, and a decision that a lot of times we made with our doctor out at Fort Belvoir, or with our primary doctor that knew us for, now it's 20 years.
And your girls, too.
And
they had input.
my two daughters, they were involved deeply on that.
And all of the expense of this is covered by Medicare.
It didn't cost a penny, and it was marvelous.
I think that's important for people to know and to hear.
Oh.
Because I have had personal experience with that as well, and I know that.
Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about something that I don't know whether I should or not, but about death. As the patient, as Ardith continued, one of the thoughts that kept running through my mind, what about death? Because we can see it was coming. And at the time that Ardith passed away, I was there, and a nice young lady from home support was there. And I made one telephone call, and within a couple of minutes, the nurse came up. She happened to be in the building, but she would have come that quick. And the nurse came up, and I just can turn my back and not worry about a thing, and do everything that was required to prepare Ardith for the next, whatever's going to come. So it was so good. It relieved a lot of pressure on me. It relieved a lot of pressure on my two girls and on the family.
Well, that's a very important story that you're telling us, Art, because Green Spring, how long has the program been here at Green Spring, Kathy?
We're going on 8 years now.
Yes, and I was so happy when I heard that it was going to be part of our system here, and what an important thing to have here for us, especially our generation. It's probably more pertinent and important. But were you here before the hospice program came into Green
Yes,
Spring?
yes.
That's what I
Because
thought.
we came
we've
here in
been here.
2001.
Yeah, you've been here almost as long as I have.
Yeah,
and
almost
I knew
15
you had
years.
been here before, and I had attended one of Artist's meetings for cancer survivors at one time. And
That was her goal. When
Mm-hmm.
she came in here, she said, I'm going to run a club for 10 years. I'm going to call it ABC
Mm-hmm.
after breast cancer. She definitely said it will not be a support group
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to tell a little story when she had her operation. And of course, everybody knows that it's a removal of a breast
Mm-hmm.
and how it's done. Way back then, the doctors, I was at the hospital and they called me and they said, cancer has been discovered because a frozen section was taken and we're going to have to remove a breast, and they signed it. And so after that. So it is very, very important. And when she came home, she went to her coffee group and she said, and told them that she had cancer, and immediately she lost all her friends. Because
Well,
they
that's
thought it was
unfortunate.
contagious back then.
I know.
You've probably been through it.
Yes.
Okay, I kind of figured that. and at that point, she said, someday, somewhere, I'm going to run a club.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I'm going to call it After Breast Cancer. It's not a support group. We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll tell people about what the new medicines we're taking. But she says, I'm going to show. And I can say that Ardith had one of the first transplants of the muscle from the stomach to make another breast and the whole complete. And at that time, she bought lots of swimsuits, and she used to make her own. But in any case, that was the reason that she always talked about it freely. And she ran it for 10 years, and at the 10th anniversary, that was the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
it was so
it's-
important to, see her as the person that she was, even when she reached our services, and understand that it's very important through our services that we can help families and their loved ones to maintain that quality of life so that she could still be out with friends and doing activities that she wanted to.
She did that right up to the end.
Mm-hmm. I know. I remember seeing her very shortly before she died. And but anyhow, this was so important for you to come this morning and tell us this story, and to help make folks more aware of the positive side of what some people perceive as a very negative kind of thing. Hospice, of course, we all know we're going to die. That's not a secret. And and living in this kind of community, it's sort of in your face all the time because of our age and seeing our friends' health failing, etc., on a sort of almost a daily basis. So hospice is there for us, and it is an important program, and it was so good of you to come this morning and share the story. And Kathy, I know that your team is doing such a good job, and I thank you as well for coming and bringing Art to share the story, because I think hearing personal stories like that is a good way of educating and helping people understand a very difficult kind of topic.
And understand too, there is life after your loved one goes. Doesn't mean that you forget them. The memory's there.
And
You have good
hospice
memories.
also has support systems for that piece of it.
We sure do. Our bereavement group is available after the loved one passes, and we can be in touch as much or as little as a patient's loved one wants us to. But again, it is to help them get on to the next step of their life and continue to live beyond that death.
Well, I think our time really has gone so quickly, and you have one very small last word, either of you.
I can only say don't wait too long to inquire about hospice.
Thank you, Art, for coming, and Kathy, and wish you well, and it's a joy to have had you here with us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.